in truth, the more that we can allow what is versus trying to control it, the more that we can just welcome what is and what's here, the more that we're going to be able to accept what's here, even if we don't like it, even if it feels hard, even if we're not sure how we're feeling about it. We can, when we allow it, it's going to make it easier for us to accept what is. Maybe not easier, right? But more doable. It might not feel easy, but it will become more doable the more that we allow ourselves just to be with what is. So notice what's here, let it be okay, um, whatever it is and whatever's here. And then just notice for yourself what you would like to get out of today. Maybe it's a question that you have. Maybe you'd like to feel more safe in your body in the now. Maybe you would like to just feel supported and in community. Whatever it is perfect. And when we can set powerful intentions for ourselves, for how we want something to go, for how we want to feel, the more um, the more likely we are to achieve it, for one. And for two, we are more open to being able to acknowledge it if we have stated the goal that we actually have or the intention. So often we think about how trauma impacts us, right? It impacts our brain, the way we think, the way we process things, impacts how we feel. And when we aren't clear on how we want to feel or what our actual intention is, sometimes we can actually have the thing that we want, the feeling, the outcome, what have you, but we can still feel unhappy and unfulfilled if we're not clear on how we want to feel or what we want to take away from a conversation, a teaching, a class, um, a conversation, right? So that's important, and we'll go more into that. But intention is very important. So as you continue just to let yourself breathe at a normal pace, you might notice what is feeling safe for you in this moment. And if there's something that's feeling unsafe, can you be with that without judging it? What if you could just notice this is how I'm feeling in this moment, and I don't have to make it mean anything necessarily, right? When we can drop into this place of observation, when we can be the mindful observer, it's another way that we take our power back. Because if things only have the meaning that we give it, that means that we can change the meaning at any time. It also means that we get to decide um, what we're going to allow something to mean. We also can decide what we are not going to allow something to mean. For example, it could have been a not great morning so far. That might be how it feels, right? But you get to decide what you're going to make that mean. For some of you, you're taking the time to be a part of this class. You're taking the time to say, this is important to me. I want to learn. I want to share what I know. I want to be a part of community. Um, that's a powerful way to take your power back, right? For some of you, it might be, I am going to take control back over my ability to even feel safe, to notice when I'm not feeling safe, to bring more safety in to my experience in small ways. That might be what you're um, intending. And we're going to go over that all today together. So you might begin to notice just your fingers and your toes. You might begin to bring some calming breaths back in. You might allow your energy just to come back into the here and the now. You might begin to give yourself a hug or hold your own hand. You can move your body in any way that feels good for you. And when you feel ready, you can come back into the here and the now. Guys, I'm not feeling my absolute best today, so forgive me for I have my heating pad on. You'll see we're going to make it work because that's what we do. Hang on. Give me 1 second. Very good. Hi, let's do it. So we are going to just quickly go over a couple things so we're all on the same page. I'm going to have the link for you today in just a little bit. First, you can opt in and get your emails every day with the replay links, with the syllabus link, so you can download that, and so that you can have the link to join our private discussion over on Signal. That's that. If you have any questions, you can comment them here. You can also email, and I'll put the email address in the comment section. If you email all in one place, then my VA can help me to get those so we don't miss anybody or lose track of anything. So that's that. Two, I'd love to hear a takeaway from what you gained yesterday. It might have been a thought that you were having. It might have been something that you set with that came up for you like after you watched the replay or watched it again, perhaps. Love to hear your takeaways from yesterday. And let's dive into today. Feel free to use the chat with whatever platform that you're on. I am able to see that. And though I can't like read everything and stay on track with teaching, I will go back and look at your questions and answer them for you. So for today, we are talking more about safety. Safety is so important because most of the things that we're wanting to do and be and have in our life, period, they're going to require a certain level of safety. And this is what makes it hard for those of us who have experienced trauma. It's almost like we're working against the tide, if you will, because we struggle to feel safe. Like therein lies the problem. And when we do not feel safe, it can be hard for us to trust ourselves and other people. It can be hard for us to trust life, to trust the process. It also can be hard for us to tap in and trust our own power and our own ability to create change in our life, our own ability to affect things in our life through our decisions. So establishing safety for ourselves is a huge part of the healing journey. And it's one of the ways that we create what we call earned secure attachment. When we are going about our life, right, as children, we are developing our attachment style. You may have heard of it before. It's how we relate, right, to others. You can Google attachment style quiz. There are free quizzes that will ask you questions and give you your attachment style. The reality is there are 4 attachment styles, and one of them is secure, and that's like the holy grail. And most people have some percentage in that attachment style. But we typically also have a percentage in disorganized attachment, anxious attachment, or avoidant attachment. And some of those can be like stacked. You can be like anxious avoidant. But the quiz will show you which one you are and what percent you are in secure attachment. Why this is important? This is important because no matter where you land, no matter if you are, if you're less than like, I would say, if you're less than 70% in secure attachment, if your score is less than 70, there's definitely some work to do around making safety more of a priority that you're grounding into so that you can feel more secure within yourself, within your relationships, within your own power, within your own person, right? As a human, honestly. And so that's that. And I would say about that is safety is definitely a foundational piece for healing and for well-being. And we have more control than we realize over feeling safe in ourself, within ourself as a person. Oftentimes we can think that safety has to do with, are we feeling safe in our situation, in our environment? And while that is true, the other reality in that is just me trying. Nope, that's not it. I'm sorry. Just playing around with some things, trying to see what is best for us. Nope. What I will say is that, sorry, when we realize that we can create safety within ourselves, we can create it, we can increase it, we can really overcome feeling less safe. It can be a game changer because it helps you tap back into your own power, right? So there's that. The other piece to that is we can cultivate feeling more safe within ourselves. And one of the ways that it can feel challenging, right? Which is sometimes why we can be resistant to it, excuse me, is because when we did not feel safe as children, it leaves like a lasting imprint in our nervous system around certain things do not feel safe, right? So we have this program that we need to overwrite in order to move forward. What does that look like? If we talked a little bit about trauma responses yesterday, the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, and we'll go more into that as we move through the course. But whatever your baseline response is, if it's fight, like everything is kind of argumentative, you have to prove your point, it's hard for you to compromise, like that kind of energy. If that's what's happening, if it's flight, if ever you feel like things are not working out, you just want to leave the situation, you want to get out of here, you want to leave the job, the place, the person, the thing. If shut down is more your vibe, when things get hard, you feel overwhelmed and your system shuts down. These are all patterned trauma responses, and we all have one or two that are our go-to ones that were installed in childhood. So when we feel a threat to safety now in present day, we often are going to revert back to that original um, setting, that original response, if you will. The way that we shift that is one by acknowledging, one by getting clear on, I'm identifying this is my pattern. I'm recognizing like when things hit the fan in my life, what is my typical go-to? Is it fight? Am I ready for the fight? Am I ready to go like guns blazing? Is it flight? Am I ready to say I'm going to just leave everything and start over? No matter what it is, I'm done with this. I'm out. If is it freeze? Is it I get tired, I go to sleep, I can't function, I can't think, I can't like defend myself, I can't take up for myself or advocate for myself. Maybe for you it's I simply concede so I don't have to deal with it. I simply give the person their way, or I just say, okay, never mind. So I don't have to deal with any conflict or disagreement. Once you notice what your style is, you can begin to recognize, oh, When this happens, I do not feel safe. When this happens, it's a sign that I'm not feeling safe and I'm reverting back to my old pattern, my default pattern, if you will. We're going to go in later in the course with some support around how to shift that pattern, but noticing it is key. Noticing it so that we can make a choice of how we want to move forward. Oftentimes, the signs that you are in lack of safety or feeling unsafe, it's going to be the symptoms that come up. It might be anxiety, it might be depression symptoms for you. I yawn when lots of energy is moving. It's not that I'm tired or falling asleep when lots of energy is moving. I yawn a lot. I am highly intuitive and I've learned to just something that I do. I've done it for years and years and years. I wanted to just share that so you don't think that I'm bored. I'm not. It's an energetic thing. So let me get back to my notes. When we have more symptoms of hypervigilance or difficulty trusting, we've all heard like the cliche lines around, I don't trust people. It's hard for me to trust. Like, I'm never going to trust anybody again. All of that language, right, is speaking to truly like a core attachment wounding where trust was badly broken and trust no longer feels safe. Children that have experienced any kind of abuse or neglect, trust is going to be an issue and safety is going to be an issue. When we think about how internal safety and external safety are similar, right? They're interconnected. Some would say we must feel safe inwardly in order to feel safe outwardly. We must feel safe within our own self before we're going to feel safe in our environment. And there's truth in that, right? There's for sure truth in that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that even if you are in an environment that is not feeling 100% safe, you can go within yourself and cultivate safety between you and spirit, you and your higher power, between you and God. You can source safety from within and from the heavens, if you will, regardless of what environment you're in. I'm not going to say that it's not easier and healthier to feel safe and to source safety. It's not it's not that easy when you're not in a safe environment, but it can be done. It can be done. It is more challenging. But once you can master doing it, you become unstoppable. Because if you can drop into safety within yourself and within your higher power, if your safety isn't contingent upon anything that's happening around you, you are then unstoppable. If we only feel safe when the conditions are good, our safety is contingent upon everything being good, right? And we all know that right now, everything is not good. And our safety can't be dependent on what's happening around us. Many of our grandparents really understood this because they were able to decide how they were going to feel, what they were going to commit to, and what they were going to stand for. And they stood on it no matter what came. We have to get back to that same kind of discernment, integrity, like self discipline. And safety can become something that you discipline yourself to feel and experience and create for yourself despite what's happening around you. How do you do that? One, it's a decision, right? To take better care of yourself in the ways that you can, in doable ways that you can do right now, no matter where you are or what you're going through, right? You can tap into the felt sense of safety no matter where you are. It just takes more mental, emotional, and spiritual bandwidth to do it when the environment that you're in is, in fact, not safe, right? So, growing up, I had lots of trauma, and the reality is, oftentimes, I didn't even have words for I don't feel safe, but it came out through symptoms like it often does with everybody. It can come out through physical symptoms, headaches, stomach ache, getting sick a lot, like a weakened immune system. It can come out through maybe you're more accident prone, maybe you have some chronic things that you're dealing with, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart issues. Lots of the symptoms can come out in lots of ways. Maybe you have trouble really regulating your emotion. Maybe you go from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Maybe you don't react. Maybe you suppress your emotions and you don't react over anything. Everything is like just equal temperature, no highs, no lows, just like mute. Whatever it is for you is fine unless you decide it's not fine. So this is not working for me. I need to change it. Okay. So when we are in a challenging situation or environment that we can't easily get out of today, or maybe not even like anytime soon, you want to tap into your internal safety that you have within you that's gotten you through every moment of every day up until now. And it will get you through every moment of every day for as long as you live, right? And beyond that, even. This safety is eternal. It's eternal. It's not based on personality or conditions. It's not based on how you feel. It's not based on what others feel about you or toward you. It's not based on what's in your bank account or how much you weigh. It's not based on if you believe in yourself or if you don't. It's not based on if you've gotten your life together or if you haven't. It's not based on what zip code you live in. It is based on your internal in some ways like your soul. It's this ancient place within each of us that goes beyond time and space. Your actual being itself. When you tap into that, you can source safety from that place, knowing if I came into this world in this lifetime, if I'm still here, I'm here for a reason, for a purpose, that has not yet been fulfilled, like that's not yet complete, or I wouldn't still be here. If that's the truth, and it is, I can decide for myself, and you can decide for yourself that if safety lies within me, nothing that I go through can take that safety away. Now, I know when we experience pain and trauma and just really challenging things in life, we 100% feel unsafe, but it's a feeling. Feelings are not facts, but feelings do matter. They need to be honored. They simply can't have the last say in our life. You might feel overwhelmed, you might feel unsafe, but in truth, safety never leaves you. It just becomes harder for us to access when we are in unsafe situations, which is why we have to cultivate this muscle in our life. If you think about safety as a muscle, we have to do training. We have to train this muscle of safety so that it is strong and so that we can tap into it at any time, no matter what's going on, no matter our conditions. Okay. We'll go more into that. But for now, that's solid. Holistic well-being is really speaking about if internal and external safety are related, then I can decide for myself that I am safe no matter what's going on around me. But it is a decision, and it takes a lot of spiritual um, maturity and emotional maturity to say to yourself, I'm choosing safety despite what it looks like, even despite how I feel about it. And I'm going to anchor into it through my breath, through my decisions, through taking a moment just to connect with myself each day, multiple times a day if you can. And certainly if you're in a challenging season, right? Like we are all in right now as humans, anchoring into this place of safety multiple times a day is going to truly benefit you in countless ways. So when we think about anchoring in to safety, it can be very simple. It also can be very simple. It can be practical, it can be emotional, it can also be energetic. So, practically speaking, we may be thinking about creating just a safety plan. And this might look like a safety plan for um, challenging days, right? If you have mental health sensitivities, if you have something like a PTSD or complex PTSD or depression or anxiety, um, bipolar, any of like the names, ADHD, um, autism, any kind of neurological or emotional sensitivity, I'll call it, we want to be mindful that we know what to do and we make it easy for ourselves on bad days when things are not great at all. We clearly know what to do for ourselves and we can show other people, we can then tell other people how they can support us, right? Because if um, it's clear what we need and how to best support ourselves and how others can support us, if that's the case, it's a step in the right direction for us being able to get our needs met, even if we can't communicate them, even if it's hard for us to know what to ask for. If it's pre written, if it's already there, we can just look at it and know what to do. Okay. So this might be as simple as um, getting clear on what do I need on a tough day. It might be, you know, here's my emergency contact written out. This is the information from my coach, my trauma informed coach, or my therapist. Here's a support person that can be called. There might be like a medication list where you list out what you take as far as meds, as far as vitamins. You might list out like where is my safe place. This might include like a favorite blanket. It might include a favorite spot in your home, um, or or in your car. Like it literally might be out in nature, but a place that when you are there, it brings in safety. This can also be an imaginary place. It might be a place from your past, right? It might be a magical place that you've never actually been before, but this feels like just kind of like Disneyland for you. It might be a place like Disneyland that you've visited before or that you hope to one day. It literally can be any place, physical place, imaginary place, past or present place. This can be really important when we write down, have it up somewhere on its own or with our safety plan. When we write down our two biggest reasons for living, when we get clear on why we're here, I'm gonna go into a different room. Our well, they're mowing the lawn outside, but I want you guys to be able to hear. So we'll see how it goes. Um, when we have it clear why we're here, when it's clear why we're here, why we're living, right? When that is clear, it's easier for us to drop back in to I'm here on purpose for a reason. I deserve to be here. And even though I'm going through like this hard season, all is not lost. Like all is not over. Um, everything is not is not over. It's just a bad season. When we are able to see that, when we're able to see, this is why I'm here, this is important, um, it can just help us to tap back in to what's important, to what matters. And it can remind us on bad days that um, we all need to be reminded of, this is why I'm here. This is why it matters. It might be somebody that you care about. It might be for like a mission in the world that you don't feel is complete, right? It might be something that you feel like you're being called to do. It might be something that you want to do before you leave this earth, something that you want to have impact on. It can literally be anything at all, but getting clear on why you're here and why you are choosing to live is going to be so very important, especially on the tough days. For those of us who are parents, I have decided for myself, right, that I will be happy and healthy and on this earth until like my daughter is old and doesn't need me and has her own life and her own family and her own um, livelihood, and that I've seen her successes and her happiness and I've supported her through the challenges. Like, I have decided that I'm in it and I'm here for the long haul, and we will both be old together before I'm willing to, you know, leave this life. You can decide for yourself, like, I want to experience these things in my life. I haven't yet. I want to see my kids grow up and live their own life and make their own way. I want to be able to enjoy and spoil my grandkids. You can decide what you want, right, for your lifetime. I believe that. And then we make choices that support that. So we make choices that support that identity that we're claiming for ourselves and that decision that we're making for ourselves. Let me know if that's helpful, if you vibe with that, if there's something else that feels supportive for you, I would love to know. That's the basis of like just a very simple general safety plan. You might also have on there like warning signs of when things are kind of going the other way for you. It might be you're sleeping way more, you might stop eating, you might start eating much more, you might start missing meds, you might not go out at all. You might cancel plans with friends or even phone calls or meetings. Um, have on there what your warning signs are. And guys, this can be on a post-it note, literally, like maybe two post-it notes if they're small. Doesn't have to be like pages. You also might list your triggers, things that really trigger certain things for you, which might be certain dates for like anniversary of something for you. A certain time of the year might be challenging for you, and that might be a trigger. It might be um, certain places that you might go. Um, if you have trouble identifying your triggers, it's something that you can Google. If you have that question specifically, you can post it. I'm happy to share a bit more about that if any of you have questions about it. Okay, so when we think about the safety plan, some other tips that could be helpful would be giving yourself permission just to create one, just to make one, even if it seems dumb. This is something that when our brain is over stimulated, when we are triggered, when we are um, just not at our best, right? Our brain tends to go offline. And so we are unable to really access the things that we know to do, the things that we know um, that we would know if we were grounded, right? They kind of go out the window. So having this safety plan can just be helpful. It's something that you can do with your clients, if you work with other people, with your own family. They're good to make for your kids, right? Especially as kids get older. it can be important to just really be clear on, here are some warning signs, here are some things to help myself. If you've got kids like in college or out of the house, also would be good. It's good to have for our parents if they, don't live with us, even if they do, right? Having some of these things really answered and clear can make tough days so much easier, and even tough periods so much easier, because we can kind of start to see the warning signs of where something might be headed. When it's not clear, um, we can think that things are better than they actually are, and that also can be problematic. When we think about grounding, which is another piece to safety, what we're really thinking about is how do we bring ourselves or someone else back to the present moment. And why this can be so important to do throughout the day is because everything is energy. And when we are involved with all sorts of things, people, places, things, actions, energy, um, when we're just involved in all of these different things just throughout our regular day, we are picking up on a lot of things that um, has energy. Because it has energy, we are taking that on. And so when we come back to ourselves, we're coming back to our center, we're coming back to our own essence, right? We're coming back to our own state of being, and we're anchoring back into that. There's a quote that says something like, um, it's important for you to decide what's important for you in this day, because if you don't, you will spend your entire day putting out fires. It's the same thing with grounding. If we don't decide to ground ourselves and to come back to our own center, it can be very easy just to be pulled in every direction that anybody possibly has, right? We can be pulled in every direction. And that's not supportive for us and what we want to do, and what we decide is important. So coming back to center is crucial. That can be done in simple ways. It might be one hand on your belly and one on your heart, and you simply breathe into the here and the now, and you just allow yourself to take a breath. You might say a couple affirmations. I am safe. Um, I am grounded. It's safe for me to be here now, are a few that I use. A few of those are in the email that you're going to get when you opt in as well, for they're there. The other thing that I would say is sometimes just bringing awareness to the here and now. I use quote for myself and with my clients and students: be where your feet are. Give yourself permission to be where your feet are. Wherever your feet are in this moment, that is where you are. And when you can be where your feet are, you can breathe into the here and the now. You can come back to the here and the now, and you can remind yourself that your power is in the present moment. And it's from this place that I'm to lead myself forward, not from the past, not from the future, not from our thoughts, not from what ifs or worst case scenarios, but right here, right now is where I am. That's also where my power is. And that's where I need to source my safety from and ground myself from that place. Taking some breaths, it can be really helpful. Sometimes this can be hard for those of us who have experienced trauma, but here's the thing: our breath is always with us. That's the first thing. It's always with us. We're going to go over tools that you can use um, when you're by yourself, when you're with other people, when you're in public, right? But sometimes we might actually feel more or less safe to do some of the practices for grounding and for alignment. But your breath is always with you. And as long as you are alive, you are able to take a breath. And so anchoring into breath and normalizing, kind of healing your relationship with your breath, is part of how we heal trauma. When we are feeling like we're unsafe, or when we're in um, a traumatic moment, or even just a highly stressful moment, or any kind of stress, we typically hold our breath. We typically don't breathe as openly, as deep. We don't breathe as consistently, like consciously. Yes, it's happening in the background, our breath, but we're not consciously breathing and clearing out those pathways, that old energy that's in our body. When we breathe, we ground ourselves. When we stop breathing, we become more ungrounded. So it can be really important to just notice your current relationship with breath. Do you find yourself breathing easily and smoothly? Do you find yourself holding your breath? I tend to hold my breath. Most people who have had any kind of significant trauma might be unaware of how much they hold their breath. And the more that you can just be aware of it, the more that you can begin to breathe, just take conscious breaths when you think about it, like when you can, when it comes up for you. Oh, I feel a little bit off center, or I feel a little bit tired or overwhelmed. Let me just stop and take a breath. Or even, I feel joy, I feel happiness, I feel gratitude. Let me breathe that in, right? So it's not just about when you're upset or feeling off center. It literally is good for any time, any place. Being mindful of how you are moving, also really important. And this is like figuratively and actually, when you can think about, am I rushing? Am I jamming and cramming things into my day, my life, my schedule? Am I making time for myself? Am I even on my list? I have met with multiple clients this month and last, who all say it feels like there's not enough space in my life for me. And therein lies the problem. I have said that same thing this year with my own therapist, right? I'm a firm believer that every coach needs a coach, every therapist needs a therapist. We all need our sacred support team. And so, one of the things that we can do to um, make room for ourselves in our own life is to make time for breath, to make time for grounding, to make time to eat, to make time to sleep, to make time to do a reset, not just for ourselves, but for our home, for our life, for our business, for your vehicle, even like to vacuum it out. I know it can be busy. If you have ADHD like me, some of those things can feel so tedious. And still, when we make time to put ourselves back on our own list in whatever small way that you can, maybe it's making your bed. Maybe it's making sure that you eat something before 10 a.m. Maybe it's making sure you set yourself up for success with your vitamins, with your meds. Maybe you create a routine around having them, getting them, taking them, right? Um, Maybe it's you saying no to more things so you have time and space to put yourself on your list. And maybe it's not forever. Maybe it's for right now. Maybe you need to take up more space in your own life right now so that you're able to do what you need to do for yourself, for those that you care about, right? And for your own sanity, because we are in challenging times right now, and we need more than ever to just understand that taking care of yourself is a form of activism, and it is a form of how we are able to then support one another and the greater good by putting our own oxygen mask on. And that's another really easy way to look at it. Give yourself permission to put your own oxygen mask on. That includes the things that I just talked about, as far as like eating, hydrating, making time for yourself, sleeping, getting support. If you know you need to be working with a therapist, um, making that happen. If it's knowing that you need to be in communities like this one where you're getting solid support and teaching and tools, do that. If you know that you need to go to a 12-step meeting, if you need to get a sponsor, if you need to simply tell somebody else, another human, what's not working in your life and get some accountability around it, whatever your move is. Maybe you're stuck with your business, you're having fear and fear of visibility, fear of like claiming the thing that you want, fear of moving forward, fear of it working, of it not working. What are some practical ways to start to bring in more safety for yourself, like we've gone over today, so that you can make the moves that you need to make in your life, in your business, in your money, in your health, so that you can move forward powerfully, right? Safety is such a key role in us being able to move forward powerfully. It's hard for us to move forward, sometimes impossible, if we don't feel safe and if we're unsure of how to cultivate safety and increase the level of feeling safe, right? The other, um, like, winner is nature. Getting into nature on some level. I know in some places in the country, in the world, it's cold, it's snowy, it's not great weather. I totally get that, and still finding some way to be in nature at least a couple times a week, right? Even if it's for a couple of minutes, is going to help your mental health, your emotional health, your outlook on life, your physical energy. There's something that's just healing about nature that we can't avoid. We can't get around it. It just is. And the more that we can allow ourselves to be in nature, the better. You can physically place your hands on a tree if that feels safe for you. Be mindful of bugs and ants and that kind of thing, but touching the earth, touching things that are planted in the earth in a safe way, of course, is going to help cleanse your energy. It's going to help ground you, and it's going to help you really align the energy centers in your body, and your mind and your body and your spirit. So they are working together most effectively. We live in a physical world and we have to tend to ourselves on the physical plane. But we also, I believe, cannot deny how much we are interconnected, mind, body, and spirit, and how each of those need their own cultivating, really, of safety. And so when we think about, is there something per day that you can give yourself permission to do to anchor into safety, to increase your level of safety, and even to notice when things are not feeling safe, and then being able to wave a flag to like notify yourself, this is not working for me. How do I get myself out of this? How do I maneuver this so that I can either increase the safety, ask for what I need, or make my way out of the situation that does not feel safe. Now, I know if you're in the US, in and of itself, lots of things that are happening that are making many of us not feel safe. In situations like that, one of the best things you can do is to continue to ground into safety every day. Like we started on the beginning of the call, you ground into safety within yourself, within your higher power, right? You ground into that every day so that you can come back to that and source your safety from within, knowing it's not dependent upon anything that's happening outside of us. The more that we do that, the stronger we'll become, and you will be guided in what physical steps you are to take to ensure your own personal safety and that of your family and your loved ones. But we can't operate at our best and our highest um, if we are not tapping into our own safety and strengthening that relationship consistently. At this point in time, very consistently, heavy on the consistency. With that, that is what we have for today. I would love to know. I know I went through it kind of fast, but I wanted you to have all of the information. How do we make this actionable? How do you actually apply this in your life? A couple different ways. One, it's really getting clear on the level of safety that you feel now. If you are struggling in the here and the now, I would be willing to bet that there's some part of you that's not feeling safety in whatever it is that you're doing. You're trying to make yourself maybe do something that is not feeling safe, and there can be big resistance to that. So getting clear on where you um, are not feeling safe is a great place to start. It's also good to be mindful of like, where is there safety? Like, are there places that you do feel safe? And how can you crank those up? What can be so important often is not that we have to always be turning off things that don't work. We can do that, but sometimes the easier approach is just to turn up what is working. It's to turn up our sense of safety, turn that up, and what's not working and what's feeling unsafe will begin to um, slow down. It will begin to dim because we've taken our attention off of it. If we put our attention on turning up what is working, what is feeling safe, we can then begin to notice what's needed to be done to further turn down what's not feeling safe. The other approach that I would suggest, just to try on and see how it feels for you, is to lean in to gratitude over where you have safety and really like talking that up. I'm grateful for a warm place to sleep. I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for, I would lean into gratitude over what is working and the safety that you do feel. Whenever we can bring increased gratitude and appreciation to what we have, to what is working, and to what does feel safe, we are so much more likely to be able to call in more of that in our experience. When we can call in, when we can celebrate what we already have regarding safety, we're going to call more safety in. The other thing that I will say and leave you with is simply, safety can be a decision the same way that worth can be a decision. You can decide that you're worthy despite how things look, despite what situation that you're in, despite how you feel. You can just decide that you're worthy. You can decide that you are safe despite what it looks like, despite where you are, and despite what is happening. Now, as someone who has experienced extreme horrific trauma, I understand that if you have someone with a weapon right at your throat, you are not going to feel safe. That's just the reality. And when you tap into this eternal place of safety, where you decide nothing in this world can make me turn away from what I believe to be true, that we came from love, we are love, and love is where we will return. And that even if our life is taken right from us, we can decide what we're going to believe in terms of, do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe that you only can do the best you can do in each and every day? And if something comes out of nowhere that you have no control over, you are still going to lean into, I believe in God, a higher power created me. I chose to come to earth. I chose to incarnate, and I'm going to do the best I can in the experience that I have right now to the best of my ability. And I'm going to find safety in that. I'm going to find safety in knowing that my higher power has my back at all times, and I can partner with this higher power in all that I do. But I refuse to live in fear, and I refuse to only feel safe when things are going well. I know, like I know, the same God that's gotten you through every battle you have faced up until now will get you through each and every one that is to come. And the more that you anchor into that, knowing that you are unstoppable, the more you're going to attract situations that mirror that back to you in terms of like, you are safe now. You control how you think about it, and you have the power to decide what you're going to believe and what you're going to refuse to believe. I pray that's supportive. I would love to hear what you're taking away from today, what was helpful. If you're unclear on anything, please share that. Um, and we will be back tomorrow at 10:05 Eastern for more. I love you so much. I'll have the link drop below this video for you to opt in and get the recap emails from